Welcome back to the channel. One of the situations that happen quite a bit is people come to see me and they have a project, like creative project, maybe a movie or a show they would like to do. They got a good idea or a concept, and they would like to know what are the steps do I have to go through to be able to get it financed, and then after that to get it produced. So on this video, we'll try to take a look at the roadmap that you would have that will guide you in terms of what you need to do. There's a lot of work to be able to bring a creative content project into life, and therefore I'm going to give you here the steps or some of the steps that you might have to go through. Keep in mind that there might be different variants of this one, but it's a start. So let's get it right into it. Okay, so Sylvain Gauthier, the executive producer, and like I said, developing a business with a creative project require quite a bit of steps, especially if it's a big project and if it requires a lot of resource and it will be a big production. And you start from scratch. You don't have a company yet, and you need to put in place the whole infrastructure for it. So let's take a look at a map of what you would have to do. Let's say you are in that situation and you need to bring that great idea into life. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the business development roadmap in push mode. In a push mode, for those of you that are not sure, that haven't seen the video, push mode means it's a project that you're bringing to an audience, while a pull mode is a project that is being pulled by a company and organization that is asking you to produce certain type of content for them so they could reach their own audience. Here we're going to assume push mode. So a typical person in their basement, having an ideas. Sometimes they have written about this ideas. So let's see what you have to do. And for this, let's use mainly a movie to help understand it, the step, if you would like to bring to a point where you could get that movie financed. And on another video, what are the steps once you have received the green light to develop? What do you need to do next? Okay, so let's start with this one. Let's move a little bit on the side so I got more place for the map, so we could get through it. Okay, now in this case here, I'm assuming you need also to develop a business model. Okay, and you're looking for financial partner because a lot of the time, certain big projects that require a lot of money, you will need more than just tax credit or local what I call fund by governments and other type of organization that could help. You might need a partner, a financial partner, and for that you're going to need a vehicle to have all these assets being put in, so the investors coming in, they have a place where they could see, here's the company, here are the assets, here's the value of this. Okay, so you might have to create a company in this one. So for that, we need to develop a business model, and then after that, set up that business as we're gonna go. So there will be two paths to start with. Okay, first part will be the creative, because your idea is great, but you're gonna need to document this idea and turn it into something that people could work with. Okay, so I might start with an idea for a movie, a concept for a movie, but then you need to write your story. What's the story of this movie that you want to put together? And usually you will have a script or something like that that will definitely document that story and pretty much the character and everybody, right? Also, you might have the story behind the story, so you want to explain to people what is behind this, and also you want to bring in more also behind the story. Who do you see as potential actors, for example? Who do you see as potential target market? So you will have to bring in more information than just the story that will help the people understand what is the audience and how do they fit and where do they go, and why would they watch this story that you're presenting there. And then what would be your plan in terms of business development, because it's one thing to say, here, I got a great story, but what kind of plan that you're putting in place for this to convert from this story on paper that you might have into an actual results down the line, right? You need to be able to demonstrate that you know all the steps, you know all the life cycle phases, and that you know how to put schedules, you know how to put a budget, you know how to put quality into it, the level that is required, that you need to bring your people in, what kind of people. So basically a big business development project, which goes beyond just a project plan on production, but also what goes around. Also, you might have activities related to intellectual property, activities related to financings and justification. So there's a lot more than the production. That's why we call it the business development project, which is a big production plan plus all activity related to the business. So that's the creative path. We also need to bring a business model. What's our model? Are we creating a new company? What kind of company? Is it created in your location? Are you doing something offshore? Are you going to be more working with different partners that will be contributing into it? So what's the model, and where is the possibility for an investor to get involved in this business? So that's going to be an important piece there, right? So that you will probably need help of expert. Usually you'll be people that knows about finance also, but taxation. There's a lot that needs to go in business model, because the way you're going to create it will dictate if it's an interesting vehicle for the investors to go in. Coming with that business model, once we understand the structure of the business, how is it going to get created, where is it going to be, all the taxation and the whole bit, we need a business plan, okay? What's the plan in terms of business? What's your cash flow you're going to be required, how you're going to reach the market, who you're going to work with, who you're targeting in terms of partnership, all of this. So a full business plan is required so people could drive in, and of course they will be driving in the financials. The financial needs to be solid there to try to understand if there's potential return for them. And what's the investment story for them? Because you need to tell them, more than just here, I need X million dollar, you put that in. Okay, so what's the story for them? Okay, how would they gonna get their money back? Okay, are they gonna get out at one point? Is this a first of this investment? Like, do you plan to have other movies in this business? Are you planning to have also potential merchandising that's gonna go with it? Is there other intellectual property that could develop around that intellectual property? So what's the story for the investor to get them to say, okay, yeah, I want to get into it. I understand the model. I understand the numbers. Now I understand what's my role into this, how I'm going to get in, how I'm going to get out, and what are all the other opportunities that we could develop based on that intellectual property that we're putting in this business and the asset that we're putting in this business. So what's the investment story? So now you're ready to approach investors and start pitching to them, okay? And for that, obviously the first step is to put in place this business and to put in place a lot of the activity that you will have in your business development project. You will require a certain amount of money, okay? This will not happen, just by itself. And so for that, what we do is we will, talk to the investors, and the investors are interested and they say, yeah, it seems interesting. One thing is we will want to ask them is to commit, okay, to commit to the project. Because if they don't commit to the project, there's no way for you to actually have enough money to create the business for them so they could invest, to go with the lawyers and clear the rights if it needs to be cleared. So an asset like an intellectual property will need to be worked on before we put it in the company, and the company needs to be there. And all of this it's not negligible. Okay, don't think that you could invest yourself if you got money and say, I'm going to invest in all of this. I'll pay the lawyers, I'll structure it, I'll do everything. So that means you are the one that is investing into your own project. But a lot of the time, you will want the partner to commit to it. You might be committing a portion. You will want also them to commit. And this is where you're going to sign. And it says here, MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding. There's different way you could do it. But a Memorandum of Understanding, it's usually legally binding. And it puts some conditions. But you ask also for a certain amount of money when they sign the MOU to say that, we're committing to this. We're fronting, $50,000, $100,000. So you could all the activities to create the company, clear the rights with the lawyer, prepare the contract, and start negotiating also with the production company if you need to. And also you might need certain money for helping with the business plan, because finalize it, we might have a first pass, but not everything done, so they will want to have more. Maybe on the creative side also, you need another pass of the script, or you only have few portion of the script, you need to have more. If it's a TV Bible, for example, you might need more. You might ask, a couple of episodes. So again, you might need certain money to help structure everything. So coming out with that money, it's a commitment from them. It will not be advance. It's not reimbursable. So that means if they decide to back away from the contract later on of investing, well, they're not going to recover that money. Okay, you tell them that. However, if they go, and they commit to it, and later on they will be participate, then you could deduct the amount. So, for example, if they're going to be investing, I don't know, $2 million in your company, and they have front you $50,000, well, they're going to be $2 million minus $50,000. Okay, so that's the idea. However, if they decide, well, finally we decided we're not going to go with you guys, it's too risky for some reason, we change our mind, well, they're not going to get back their $50,000. Okay, so that allow you to start negotiating this contract, of this partnership contract, and the percentage of share, how much they're putting, how much you're putting, and you're going to have to be very careful in valuing what you're bringing in, okay? Because sometimes people undervalue their portion, and, so before you give full control to the investor, to this new company that you're going to create, you want to make sure that their value is really matching the value you're bringing, okay? There's a lot of value of bringing a good script, a good concept that people are interested there, and therefore, that's going to make it, you need to be able to quantify that too. So then anything that is legal in terms of chain of title and things like that, because in your story, you might be talking about certain character, you might be talking about certain event. So you need to talk right away to the lawyers and make sure that any options, any things that you had, are, cleared. If you have engaged and start talking to a cast, potential and attach a certain cast or certain crew to your project, you want also to have that, documented. So you will start engaging the lawyer, but also the lawyer will be very much involved in the creation of the company and the structure of this company. It's going to be costly. If you put an offshore, then it's going to cost you a lot, right? So again, if it's a co-production, you might have to, set up your company in a country. Then you need to look at all the taxation. That's why setting up that company require more than I just set up here. Sometimes you have to look at, tax and tax credit, and where you could get tax credit, and where's the IP coming from, the whole bit. So company creation will require a lot of help from the lawyers, and you start negotiating your production contract with a company. Let's say you were a production company, and you're going to be creating a new company for this investment to receive this investment. Well, then you need to sign a contract from your own production company to this new company. And of course, you will want to have the people involved in the partnership to discuss that, because they don't want to see a bad contract signed for you as soon as they get into the company creation and they put their money, and then they inherit a bad contract. So they will want to get involved in terms of what's the condition of this kind of production contract, what stay in the company, what's going into the production company, all of this, okay? And then you create your partnership where contracts are all signed, you get the funds to get started, you get all the right transfer to this new company. So if you had any rights that was acquired on your name or on the production company that you had, or any company that you had, they need to be transferred to the company, because from now on, these rights, these intellectual property are owned by this new company, okay? Now that you have a company, you have a partner, you have funding, they may not put 100% of the funding immediately. So if the project, I don't know, is 10 million, they may not put 10 million right there up front, okay? They might say, okay, so here's the first 2 million, get started, show me the plan, and then we will bring another 2 million, another 2 million. So you will agree on how the money will flow in this company from the investor, okay? And that is the first step, is to bring, to a point where you have a new company, you have an investors with you, you probably have solicited other, and we'll see that in the next step, where you could engage also for other people for the production. So now you're going to be ready to move to the next step, which is going to be the subject of the next video.